This is where truth and vulnerability are put on the altar. Fear and failures are celebrated as they should be. And we unapologetically peel back all the layers. Welcome to Bare Naked Radio. It's time to get raw, real, and inspired with your host, Dawn Gluskin.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Bare Naked Radio. I am your host, Dawn Gluskin, and today we have an incredible guest with us, Sarah Walton. Say hello, Sarah.
Hey guys. Hello everyone.
So excited to have Sarah with us here today. She's an awesome mom and a kick-ass business mentor, and she's the founder of Sarah's Business Accelerator for women who want to start and build their businesses, and the Money Mindset course, which is an interactive online course for women. So she's a woman of my own heart, empowering other women. She wants to make sure that they have every tool that they need to start and sustain a successful business. She speaks all around the world, offering her courses and her products and workshops, and they're all designed to inspire, inform, ignite passion, and bring the power of femininity forward. Can we get an amen for that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So her focus is on taking better care of ourselves, which of course means we can take better care of others, developing a healthy relationship to money, creating challenging goals, and learning how to lean back just as often as we lean in. So she's just amazing and up to so much good stuff, and so excited to have you here today, Sarah. And by the way, her kids are home with the flu, and she's still here showing up because that's how we roll.
Yeah, it is. Make it work. Make it work.
Yeah, the life as a mom and an entrepreneur, which I know that gig so well.
It's good times.
Yeah. So I like to just start off with like a little bit, let the audience get to know you a little bit. So I always say that entrepreneurs are just a little bit crazy because we are. Like sometimes it would be just easier to go get a quote unquote regular job, but you know, there's some passion inside of us that gets us out of bed in the morning and has us doing this crazy work and just showing up every day for ourselves, for our people. So maybe tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get into what you're doing now, and what gets you out of bed in the morning, especially on these hard days?
On the harder days, right? When the kids are home with the flu and it's kind of rainy outside, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing?
Exactly.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I say that my job, and it took me a long time to figure this out, but my job on this planet is to put more money in the hands of more women. And that sounds like a little bit of an ambitious tagline, but I really mean it. And this story is a little bit long, so I'll do my best to abbreviate it. But this journey, unbeknownst to me, started when I was 16. And it happened at a moment in a grocery store, of all places. But what led up to that moment is I had always loved to dance, like tiny. I remember being 3 or 4 years old and pointing at, the Nutcracker on TV and turning to my mom and saying, I want to do that. And it was the 80s and 90s when, we had the Janet Jacksons of the world and the Paula Abduls. And I mean, serious dance was like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't get enough. And one of the things I really wanted to do at that little young age in Sandy, Utah was make the dance team when I got to high school. It was something I just had wanted forever. And I remember really practicing for those tryouts. And I worked so hard down in the basement of our house, and there were the knee drops, and like the jump ups and all those things all these incredible women were doing on TV, on MTV. And I did it, and I worked so hard, and I made the team, and I was so excited. And we were in such a tight knit community. Like our neighbors brought over flowers. Like it was a big deal. And then I got the letter that talked about how much the costumes were going to cost.
Yeah.
And my stomach, those moments where your stomach just drops.
Yeah.
And I had a borderline out of body experience where I'm looking at this page and I'm looking at these numbers and I'm going, well, wait, what? Because we were really poor. My mom was a single mom, and my younger stepbrother was living with us at the time. And there was just no way. There was just no way I was going to get to do this, and I couldn't.
So even at that young age, you knew that was.
I did.
And I do the dancing, so I get it. It's crazy how much it costs. Some of that stuff. It's insane. Yes. It really is.
And and I knew. You know what I mean? Like there were times where, when I say we were poor, we literally would have a half of a loaf of bread, in in the cupboard and like a jar of honey, and it was bread that my mom had made. I mean, this was not, I'm not kidding around when I say we really struggled. And so what I did is I got a job at the local mall, and I was like, I'm going to pay for these things. And I sold stupid tchotchkes at those little carts in the middle of the mall. But it was the 80s, so it worked. Or 90s, I guess it was, well, no, it was late 90s. I'm sorry, late 80s. And I got my first paycheck, and I was really excited. And I didn't have a bank account. So my mom took me to the grocery store. I said, can we go get this cash at the little service desk? They used to have little service desks at grocery stores way back when. And I walk in there, and as we walk in, my mom says, the strawberries are on sale. Can we get some strawberries? And I thought of my dance costume, and I thought about the price of strawberries. And I was like, okay, we can do that. And so I said, yeah. So I wait in line to go get my check cashed, and my mom and my younger brother go to get the strawberries. And I wait in line, and it's taken a little bit of time, but I finally get that cash in my hands, and I am so proud. I'm so excited. And I turn around to find my mom and my brother, and I can't find them. And I'm looking up and down every single aisle, and I'm like, what? And I finally find them, because I was looking in the express checkout. But where I find them is in the long checkout, and my mom has a cart full of groceries.
Oh, wow.
And I'm looking at these groceries, and I know she can't pay for them.
Yeah.
But there's milk for my brother. There's his favorite cereal. There's bread for his lunches, right? And lunch meat. And those damn strawberries. And I'm looking at it, and I'm standing there, and I know I can pay for these groceries, or I can pay for my costume.
Wow.
But I can't do both.
Wow.
And I decided in that moment that I was never going to have enough money to be able to make myself happy and take care of my family. And so I'm one of the only women in my family. I have a very large family in Utah. I'm one of the only women who went to college. And after college, I moved to France. I lived in France for 2 years. And then when I came back to the States, I moved to New York City because I loved the energy of that city. I had been able to visit it when I was younger, and I just had fallen in love with it. So I moved to New York, and I make my way up the corporate ladder in technology of all things. I just fought my way, and I loved it, and was, loved having the power and loved being smart. And I was always the only woman in the room. It was just kind of like that. And I was making a ridiculous amount of money, and I had my staff, and I had a beautiful glass office with a FICA tree, complete with FICA tree always, right?
FICA tree.
You gotta have the damn FICA tree, right? So,
totally.
And I'm freaking miserable. I'm making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And my family is well taken care of, but I see my kids in their pajamas only.
Yeah.
They're in their pajamas when I leave. They're in their pajamas when I get home. And I'm sitting there. I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I realized I had flipped the scenario where now there was enough money, but I didn't have what I wanted.
So you've been on both ends of the spectrum.
That's right. Yeah. And what I'd done, because I had decided that day in the grocery store, I couldn't do both. And so I had lived that out, and that I couldn't get what I needed. I wasn't happy. I wasn't home with my kids, right? I couldn't get my costume, but my kids had what they needed.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I'd made that connection and realized that was something I'd made up. It wasn't true. And so I quit. And I was like, nope, I'm going to take all this knowledge I have, all of this corporate experience, all of this running P&Ls and doing financial forecasting for businesses, and this skill I have for incredible intuition of people. Like, I can just sit down with somebody and know what they want to be doing. It's very strange. I don't know where it came from. I take no credit, but I'm really, really good at it.
Right.
And so I go, and my clients at this point, the women taking the business accelerator with me right now are women who are where I was. They're stuck in corporate jobs they hate, but they have no idea how they can get out. Like, what could I ever create that I could charge people for to make enough money? Or they're women who chose to stay home with their kids, and now they're feeling a little bit lost, and they want to work, but they don't want to go back to corporate jobs, and they don't know what they can do. But I also work with women who have businesses, and they just can't seem to make money. Like, they can't seem to move it forward. They don't know what to do next. They can't come up with the right strategy, or there's tweaks that they can't see. And those are my 3 types of clients. So I basically took all of my own pain points, and I'll tell you, that'll get you out of bed every single day, because I know the pain these women are in. I know it. I've lived through it. I've cried through it. I mean, I used to wake up when I had that amazing job paying me all that money. I would wake up in the middle of the night and just cry in the basement because I missed my kids.
Yeah.
And I I would have traded everything. I would have sold my house. I would have gotten divorced. I didn't care. I'm like, I'll do anything to not feel this pain anymore.
Right.
Right.
Gosh, Sarah, there's like so much gold in everything you just said. I mean, it's beautiful. It's brilliant. So first of all, we have like so much in common too. Cause before I'm doing what I'm doing now, I had my own tech company and I was making all the money, and from outside in, everyone's like, oh, you're so successful. And I hated it. I was like, no, I'm going to just do this for one more year. And like 7 years later, my company goes bankrupt, and it was like the best thing that ever happened to me. But it's crazy how that happens. And even as like young Sarah in that grocery store, like you had enough awareness to know that your family needed that, and you made that choice. And to tie it all back together later in life, when you're like hating your corporate job, making all the money, and you're like, wait a second, I made that choice in that grocery store when I decided I couldn't do both. I mean, that's just brilliant to be able to key in on that. And also for all of our listeners, like it's cliche, but our mess, it really is our message. If we can like tap into that, all the pain we've had in our life, all the biggest lessons, that's what we're here to do. First, we have to learn it. We have to feel the pain, but then we transmute it, and then we go teach other people.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And you're so tapped into that. So that's just beautiful.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that is 100%.
Yeah.
What we do. And if we do it with heart, and we do it with the idea to lead with service, the amount of money that can come our way. And I don't say that to be like greedy but to show that it really is possible, that you really can leave the corporate job. And I know, in the United States, you also have to worry about health insurance, but you can cover all that stuff and build it the way that you want to build it, and help the people that you want to help. And that it really is possible. And I mean, there were so many times, like I call myself the anti-guru, because I hate this BS on Facebook that we all see. I call it entrepreneurial porn. It's just like, my life is beautiful. I don't need $10 million in 20 minutes by using only my laptop.
Oh God, I hate it too. I love your name for it.
Like, come on. I do. I've definitely called
it. Or the laptops on the beach. I'm like, come on, you're going to get sand in your keyboard. Let's be real here.
Stop it.
So stupid. And the glare, you can't even see. Yeah.
It's not real. And what I find so damaging about it is, rightly so, people are skeptical now.
Yeah.
Right? Like smart people are like, are you out of your freaking mind? Like, and there are moments when we're really scared or we're really in pain, but we believe that kind of stuff. And that's why those people are making so much money. And it just breaks my heart, because it does give those of us that are in it for the service aspect of it, right? Like I happen to believe in watching our society over the last year. Like, let's look at what's happening. We're watching a massive collapse of faith in institution. We're seeing it in our politics. We're seeing it in our healthcare. We're seeing it in our food supply. We're seeing it in our school system. We're seeing it in corporations and in banking. And, it's like we look at all of this, and what we as a human species do when something like this happens, when we start to feel uneasy, is we turn to women. It's kind of in our instincts to know we can trust women at moments like this, when we feel like the outside world isn't quite as safe as it used to be, or we can't trust it in the same way. On an instinctual level, we turn to women. And there's never been a better time for women to open businesses that actually work, especially service-based businesses, because as technology takes over, and as storefronts are closing, and that sort of paradigm is happening as well, people will always pay for education. They will always pay to learn something, because that can never be taken away from us. And that medium of business where it's led with service, there will always be room for that. And right now is the best time for us to turn to each other. And, my clients tease me, but they take my business accelerator, they take off, and I end up hiring them. It's just so, I'm like, but you have an expertise I don't have, whether it's like my nutritionist took my course, my stylist took my course, my photographer took my course.
I love how it comes back full circle.
It is. It's like, because I don't have those skills. We need each other. And I'm not perfect. I'm not the guru that has all the answers. I'll make your business work, but I can't do all of the business that you do. Right. And so it's like this understanding that none of us is better. We're all in this together. We're all equal. And if there's a skill I can teach you, 9 times out of 10, there's a skill you can teach me. And if we start to understand that in each other, leaving a corporate job you hate to start something you love is really possible, because you can start to see there is no shortage of need out there for what you as an individual have experienced and what you as an individual have taught yourself through and taught yourself through. And you don't need a degree for that. You need heart.
Absolutely. And there's also this thing where when you declare what you want, when you decide it to be so, when you declare it to the universe, it's just the right people start showing up, the right information, the right everything. It just all starts lining up, but you have to make that decision. And again, there was so much gold in what you just said. Like, I love, first of all, that you're taking on the money thing, because I also work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are still trying to work past their money issues. There's all these crazy beliefs out there. Money's evil. Money, it's going to make me do bad things. It's bad. I love people. I want to help people. I shouldn't charge for it, and all this crap. Right. And because I have a belief that if all the conscious people had the money, right? If the people that care, the people that are healing people and that give a shit, if those are the ones that had all the money, we wouldn't have people starving to death we're like wasting, thousands and thousands of pounds of food every day in other parts of the world. Like, that wouldn't be a thing. It's like, no, you're the one that needs to have the money. And it's just an energy exchange, right? You're giving something, you're getting something back. And it breaks my heart too. So I love that you are taking that on, because there needs to be a shift, especially for, like you said, the women are rising up. And I love that too, because women, we're the nurturers, we're the moms, we're the gifts of the world, like creating the creators. And I love men too, and men have their role too, but it's been out of balance for so long. So as women continue to rise, we're going to see these shifts.
Yes.
I love your whole mission. I just love everything that you're doing. Everything about you.
I love it. And I really love what you just said. And, just statistically, like, let's take all the heart and any woo woo out of it and all the spirituality. Like, let's just be straight, cold-hearted, strategic business, right? Even if we were to do that, women are better with money. And I love men too. I don't mean that to be a dig at all, but
right, of course.
The stats are, if you give a man $10, $1 will go back into the community. If you give a woman $10, $9 will go back into the community. And what that means is we're the ones who are driving the economy. We are the ones who are spurring the economy. And one of the reasons I want more money in the hands of more women is that we can like this fact or not. But we can't argue about it. We can argue about whether or not we like it. But the fact is, money is the most powerful tool that we have access to today.
Yep. That's true.
And I want more of it in the hands of more women. And again, that's not even about, a lot of my clients aren't interested in buying $800 shoes or $5,000 handbags. Some are. That's great. Knock yourself out. 9 times out of 10, they want to take their kids to Disney World. Or, I know for me, one of my motivators right now is someone in my family is really struggling with cancer, and she's 3,000 miles away, and I want to take my kids to go spend time with her. That matters to me. And that's not about me having the latest Gucci bag. That's about love. That's about life. That's about giving back. That's about connection. And that's about the stuff that matters. And if I don't have the money to do that when I want to do that, that's a problem. And it's not about me being greedy or me scamming people out of their money, like all that crap that's going on.
Oh, those beliefs need to die.
It's just
They're
nasty,
so not true.
Right?
We just need them all up and they need to die.
Exactly. And if we can get back to the heart of that and understand that my motivation is to make sure that every single woman who wants out of a marriage that she needs to get out of, right, for whatever reason, that she has the resources to do that, or her child is sick and she needs the resources for that, or she needs to move, she needs to get a bigger house, or she wants to retire her husband. Like, there's so many, like, when I ask my clients, why do you want to sign up for this course? What are you thinking you're going to get? What is your motivation for that money? How much do you want to make a month? I have, honestly, I think I've heard 3 women out of all of the women who've taken my course, 3 even mentioned on the side clothes or bags.
Right.
And it was an afterthought.
Yeah.
The rest of them, it was about family. It was about love. It was about connection. It was about growing. It was about being able to contribute to themselves even more too. There are more courses I want to take. I want to travel more. I want to see the world. I want to help. My husband wants to be a chef. I want to put him through school. And that's what money's for. Like, when I talk about more money in the hands of more women, that's what I'm freaking talking about. Like, let's get these women the money they deserve to have, because they're helping other people. It's like, there's no downside to any of this in any which way. Like, it is all so positive. And really understanding that if we give people what we love for free, they don't value it the same way. And that's really hard to wrap our heads around. But, I'm always kind of raising my price for the Business Accelerator. I always tell people, whenever you get in, good job, because I'm probably going to raise it. That comes because over time, I do really study. The women who pay more get more. they do more and they end up making more money. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's like you actually rip people off by assuming they can't do what it takes to get the money to pay you what you want, what you deserve. But also that it's kind of like when a baby's walking, you don't catch them, you let them fall. They've got to learn why they fall and when they fall in order to learn how to walk. And I kind of feel sometimes like as women, we get nervous of like, oh, no, I'll discount it for you because I love you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's appropriate. That's fine. Like you always have the choice to do that. But what you want to check in on is, am I keeping this person from learning how to walk on their own? Because that is not service. That's actually making you feel good, but that doesn't serve them.
And I've experienced that in my own life too, because there's a certain level of rising up. So like I've signed up for these masterminds or coaching programs that are like really going to stretch me when I am like, oh, I have to make this big payment every month. Yeah. But every time I've risen to the opportunity and it's forced me to up level myself. And then my coaches bring it because they're committed and they're people of service heart as well. Because I only work with people that are of like mind and they bring it too. And they bring that value. So it really helps everyone. If you think of it just from not even like a woo perspective, but like energetically what you're giving out and what you're getting back. It's when it's an even exchange like that and everyone just builds everyone up.
Yeah.
That's how I see it too. And then, but like you said too, but then you have the choice, like you could do a scholarship or something. Cause there are some people that just can't, no matter how much they say, I'm going to rise up, like it's just not in their cards, but you could choose to do a scholarship or you could choose to, there's other ways around. And I know a lot of people who give back to the community. They're philanthropic or they have their own foundation that they're creating or their own cause that they do kind of on the side of making their money. So there's so many different ways, but the freedom that comes with money, if you didn't have it in the first place, none of those are even options for you. So
that's exactly right. Yeah. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this is I can, and I do. I mean, I always have probably 2 or 3 women that, I've spoken to and I absolutely get the situation, right? And we either work out a different payment plan or I always have them pay something. Yeah. Because it matters, right?
Skin in the game. Yep.
Exactly. It just matters because they just value it more. And I've tried it every which way. And it really is those who pay in because they want to get their money's worth, right? They are invested literally financially, but also emotionally, right? Because we're so emotionally attached to our money. It just has that connection with us.
Yeah.
And so when we found it, right, we worked our butts off to get it in there. Like we did and now we're in it. Like you are going to like just soak it up for every single thing. They never miss a call. They're reading every single thing I write. They are working every single training program I give them. Every time I reach out, do you need a one-on-one call? They take it, right? And it's because, and they get so much more out of it, but it's because they're invested. And if we rob people of that experience, it matters. Over time, it matters. And they're, the ones that, that I used to let in for free, 100% free, they would miss every other call.
Right. That's how it goes. Yeah. There's no value.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so
for anyone that's listening right now, if you're one of those people that's like, I don't want to charge and I help people, well, I honor your service heart, but listen to this. This is so good. Like really, it's just a mindset shift.
Yeah.
When you can start viewing it differently and start recreating your story around money and you'll be able to help more people.
It's so true.
That's just how it goes.
Not to mention what you'll end up doing with the money. Even if, all the service-based hearts out there, I love how you say that. Like, that's cool. So give it to charity.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's always an option too. Absolutely.
Totally. 100%. But don't rob the person who's working with you from investing in themselves.
Amen. There was something else you said in there that was so good too, because you talked about, well, not good, but so relatable when you talked about you had your corporate job and how you were miserable and you'd go home and cry in the basement. And that struck a chord with me because when I need to get a good cry, I go in the shower. It's like women, we like have so much we're doing as moms and, entrepreneurs and everything else going on in our life that when we just break down, it's like we usually go, we're so thoughtful that we're going to go hide it and let it out and not to like burden everyone else with our pain. But, I just want to speak to that, to the, since you are for women and a lot of the women you work with probably are moms or they're juggling, other things in their life, sicknesses, divorce, big life things like, and you're all about balance and self-care. So do you want to speak to that a little bit and how you show up for women or what you teach them in that regard?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple things. There's so much there. We could talk for another 3.5 hours probably. But on that piece of it, one, I think, what's really important is to understand that we need different people at different times, and that's okay. There's a really great book called Friendship Circles by Shasta Nelson. She's awesome. I've met her a couple times. She's so cool. I think she just got hired by Facebook too. I'm so excited for her to help them figure out, friendships and what happens. But she talks about how we have different friends, and that's okay. Like, not everybody we meet has to be our best friends, right? So we have the lifelong friends that you cannot see for years that you just fall right back in love with. Then you have like,
I love those.
I think she calls them, I might have this name wrong, so I'm sorry, Shasta, if you ever hear this, but it's it can, like, not convenient friends, but circumstantial friends, right? Like, so the moms on the soccer field that are great, they're very nice and you love hanging out with them, but if you didn't have that thing in common, you probably wouldn't hang out that much. Or work buddies are kind of like that too. Like, once you leave the job, like, you still care about them, that's great, but you don't see them as much, so the friendship kind of dwindles. And just understanding those different roles and not expecting any one person, whether it's a boss, a husband, a business partner, or a friend, to fill every single role. And that there are different places we need to go for different things. And I'm a big believer in business masterminds, right?
Me too.
Graduates in my course get into different masterminds if they choose to do that too, because it just matters, right? And you need a place to go vomit verbally sometimes. Right?
Absolutely.
And I think that's a really big piece of self-care.
Yeah.
But the other piece,
right people. Yeah.
Yes, totally. And not to think that any one person or any one group can do everything. I think understanding that really alleviates a lot of stress. Like, oh my God, I have nobody to turn to. You have probably 5 or 6 people to turn to for different things. Isn't that? And that's cool.
And just the turning to in the first place, right? Not trying to do it all. That's a big
yes.
Like, turn, ask for help, receive. Yeah.
Oh God, yes, please, with the receiving.
That's me too. So I'm talking to myself.
I know, me too.
Probably most of the women listening, yeah.
We should have like signs on our heads. Receive well. Sorry about that. The other piece of self-care and balance that I think so many people miss is another thing that gets me out of bed to go back to your first question, but it's also about self-care, is the ultimate in self-care is loving your work. And that sounds kind of cheesy because people have turned that into a meme, and I don't mean it that way. But if you really think about it, I work a lot. Like, I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh, I promised you it's 2 hours a day and you'll make." No, it's like, I work a lot, but it's not hard work.
Right. It doesn't feel like it.
I love it. Yes. Right. And I will wake up in the middle of the night and have an idea. And I'm like so ecstatic. That doesn't bother me. Whereas before in my corporate job, I'd wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and be like, oh, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't have that feeling. And that, to be frank, I think that is actually the ultimate in self-care, so that we create a life we don't need a vacation from. Now, that being said, it's also really important that throughout the day, and I am a big believer in this, I really talk to my clients about time blocking, that throughout the day, you put in moments to have a great cup of coffee, make yourself a really great tea, and that it can be 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes, where you turn off the phone, you turn off everything, you look out the window, you drink your tea, or maybe you need to go for a walk and it's 20 minutes, that's cool. But I dare you to try to sit still for a minute and do nothing. It is so hard. Right? It's like, this is the longest minute I've ever experienced, right? So if you really sit and do that, you get so replenished.
Yeah.
And it takes no time. We spend more time than answering somebody's post on Facebook when it's a stranger, right? And we're arguing about something that's right? So
that stillness piece is so powerful, because it really gives you a chance to tap into who you are and what you want and get out of the crazy busy. And my stillness practice, which I call meditation, I do it daily. And if I skip a day, like, oh, I'm too busy. And that's like the day I really needed to do it. And I can feel myself just being off. And you're right, even just a minute, if it's like a foreign concept. So powerful. And you said something else that was really good in there too, when you said create a life. And I just want to remind everyone listening that we are that powerful. Every single one of us. Like, it might not, no, I'm not going to promise you it's going to be easy and you're going to be working on a laptop on the beach next week, but you are that powerful. When you decide what you want and you just start getting into action, you can literally create whatever is in your head. And, working with people like Sarah that can just help you get there faster. So I love that, but I wanted to talk. So we always bring up like some like taboo topics here on Bare Naked Radio. And one of the things we talk about are fears, because a lot of times we see people painting this perfect picture of my life is so beautiful. And we don't talk about the mess behind the scenes and what scares us and our failures. And you already spoke to that, with your corporate job and leaving that and how you felt about your children crying in the basement. But but someone that has it, you sound like you just have it so together. You've got this amazing business that you love. You're doing great work in the world. You're helping people. You're just so solid, but you're just as human as the rest of us. And I want people to see that we're all human. So what's behind all of that? Like, what do you still struggle with or fear, or like, what's, that little voice that sometimes pops up and you have to like shush it? What does that one say to you?
I love this question. Yes. Cause I do call myself the anti-guru. I just think nobody has it all together. Right?
So
like
good.
that's just
nobody.
Yes, just a line of hooey.
Yes.
You know what? There are two things I really struggle with. One is I'm always, not always, but pretty consistently throughout my life, I've struggled on my weight. Like I really feel like a lot of times, like I'll see myself on stage and I'm like, oh, and it's not like I'm not 100 pounds overweight. It's nothing like that, but it's like those 15 to 20 pounds that I feel like sometimes my inside doesn't match my outside. And I see that. And I know there are times I could pay more attention and be more careful. And recently I've really taken that on in a new way. I took on a mentor's challenge to make this the healthiest year we've ever had. I was like, ooh,
I love that.
Oh my gosh. So like I got all my blood work done. I saw a holistic doctor and a functional medicine doctor. Like I've just really taken it on and I'm really working on that. And it does not come easily to me. Severe obesity runs in my family. And I feel like a lot of times I'm swimming uphill on that. Like, it's like, oh my God, this is really hard for me. When I get stressed or even when I get super excited, like if I have a killer conversation with a client and I'm totally pumped, my instinct is to go eat Doritos. Okay. Doritos are not even food.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Like, I don't even know what's in those, but it's like
not food.
So I really struggle with that. Like it's like really a training for me to reach for sliced cucumber and hummus instead of the Doritos, right? So that I think, honestly, I don't think a day has ever gone by that I don't worry about that. And worry is the right word. Cause it's like, come on, Sarah, like choose self-care over having a temper tantrum of like, well, I want to eat chocolate and Doritos. It's like, That's great, but you're not 5. It's okay. And really being kind to myself through that process and not beating myself up. That is really a challenge for me.
Well, I love how you're taking that on and for our listeners, for our audience, like, and there's such power in any sort of like fear or anger, sadness, all of our emotions that are quote unquote negative, right? And they're not. I don't think any emotion is positive or negative. It's just information. And when you get curious, like, what is this thought telling me? And for you, the answer was like, I need to really dive into my self-care. How can I love myself more? How can I take care of myself better? And then taking that on. So we really have the power to transmute anything like that, any fear we're having, any worry, any sadness. Like we can get really curious about it and ask, like, what are you trying to tell me? And then take the action to shift it, which is what you're doing. And I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
And so the last question, and then we'll let everyone know what you're up to and how they can get a hold of you and all that good stuff, is I always talk about living a life with no regrets, which is easy to say. It's hard to do. The number one deathbed regret is I wish I had lived a life true to myself instead of the one that others had wished for me. And it's because we want to be liked. We don't want to be judged. All these things going on in our head. But what if we could live that life true to ourselves today? And it sounds like you're doing it. You're doing an amazing job. But is there anything else that like if you were like, you had your last couple years to live and it's like, oh, I got to do these last couple things. Like what would those big things be for you?
Oh boy, there's so many.
Me too. I hear you.
You know what? I think I've got to be super honest. I think I would be really upset if I don't get to have a serious conversation with Oprah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Isn't she the best?
Yeah.
I love me some Oprah.
Oh my God. And that's not like everybody, like I joke, I always, because I use her. Like I always say to my clients, if you're waiting to hear, and it's Sarah Walton, like why are you on that stage? Like what brought you there? What happened? It's one of my favorite questions to ask people.
Oh, so good.
And I feel like for me, just watching, the way I was raised, the way women were raised around me, the experience with my mom in the grocery store that day, other experiences inside of corporate America, is the Me Too movement, everything that's happened. If I feel like I sold out in any way and pulled my voice out of that conversation because of any kind of fear or self-doubt, I think I would be incredibly upset. And so that's what I mean by having a serious, like I want to run in that crowd. I'm really serious about that. Like I want to hang out with Reese Witherspoon and Ellen and Oprah and be like, girls, what's going on next? Like, what are we doing? Like I want a voice at that table. And I know that's incredibly freaking ambitious, but you asked, and I think I'd be really upset if I got hit by a bus tomorrow and I hadn't done everything I could do to make that happen.
And I see you there, like you have your voice is, you've really found it. And I love that because so many other people can see themselves in, that grocery store moment and that not having the money, and then the corporate, all these things in our life, those moments that just stand out, the pain. And, you have two choices. You can let the pain like eat you up inside and create stories about yourself, how you're not worthy and you're this and that. Or you can take that pain and you can transmute it and you can turn it into your mission, which is what you've done, which is amazing. So I really want to honor you for that. And I totally can see you on Oprah's couch. So Oprah, if you're listening, she's ready.
Oh, girl. Well, if you're listening, first of all, get Dawn over there.
I know, right?
But come on, let's get this going.
On the back.
Exactly. We'll have a party. Well, there's enough room on that damn couch. Let's go.
So good. So good. So anyone that wants to get a hold of Sarah, I'll let them know like how they can reach you, how they can follow you on social media. Like, what do you have going on? What programs, like anything you want to talk about, let them know so they can get some more Sarah in their life.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, listen, probably the best thing to do is for people to hit my website. It's sarahwalton.com. Just like it sounds, with an H on the Sarah. And what I have going all the time, what I love so much about my Business Accelerator. And like I said, the Business Accelerator is for women who are stuck in corporate jobs they hate, women who chose to stay home with their children, or women who already have a business. Like all three can fit into that. That being said, you can't like go there and click a button and sign up. It doesn't work that way. Like I interview every single person that gets into that course, because I want to make sure I can help them, right? Back to people just taking money. I don't just take people's money and go, hey, you're in the course. Too bad if it doesn't work. No, it doesn't work that way. Like I have to make sure I can help you.
Yeah.
And so what I would love for people to do is go to my website. There's a little pink banner on the top that says click here to view the details of the Business Accelerator. And right there is an apply now button. And that will give you access to my calendar where you fill out an application. You get to talk to me. It's one of my absolute favorite parts of what I do. And then we see whether or not you're a fit to be in the Business Accelerator. But if you heard something, and I always challenge people, like if you're hearing my voice right now, out of all the things you could be doing in this moment, if you're hearing my voice, there's a reason. And if something resonated, please, please, please book a call with me, because life is too short. And we can't keep going. How many more days? How many more weeks, how many more months of knowing that there is more for you and you're not going after it? Like I can't have women in my sphere who allow that to continue to happen. Like I want people that are ready to go and know that there's more. So that would be, I would say, go click that button, click apply now, and get on the phone with me, because it's just, it's too much fun, first of all. But second of all, let's
now.
Go.
Yeah, you are fun. Sarah said we were cracking up before we even got on the call. I love your energy. And yeah. So, and all the links will be on barenakedradio.com as well. So you can access her there, and go set up one of those calls. If that little voice is telling you to do it, then do it. Cause like you said, the time is now.
Yes.
Tomorrow is not promised to anybody. So live that life true to yourself.
Absolutely.
Well, Sarah, it has been an absolute honor and a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and it's just been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute joy. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Thank you. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Bare Naked Radio. We invite you to join us in the Naked Soul Tribe on Facebook and sound off about this episode. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you connect with your host at Dawn Gluskin on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All show notes and links are accessible on barenakedradio.com.